All right, hey guys, so I am recording live. Well, not really live. I'm recording from my hotel here in Moscow. Well, it's not my hotel, but it's a room I've rented in a hotel in Moscow. So I've been here for a couple of days and I've been hitting the streets with my Leica MP, shooting mostly Kodak Tri-X, but I've also shot a couple of other film stocks that I picked up while I've been here. Thought it'd be a good chance for me to share some of my experiences here shooting film in Moscow and a bit of the film scene really here in Moscow. So I honestly wasn't expecting too much before we came here, but been pleasantly surprised with what I found. So what did I like? So I'm going to share my top 4 items for this trip as it relates to film photography, things that I think you need to check out if you're in Moscow and you're into film photography. So in no particular order, number 1 would be photo sale. So it's important to manage your expectations. Everything is different if you compare Moscow and any major city in Japan. You know, they're on different levels when it comes to the world of analog photography, but photo sale was a pretty nice shop here. They have a pretty good selection of used camera gear that covers everything from 35 millimeter all the way up to 8x10 large format. Of course, there's not much selection there in the large format categories, but they do have a decent selection in medium format as well as your 35 millimeter. And the prices were actually pretty reasonable there as well. They weren't cheap by any means, but they were pretty competitive with what you would expect to find, on eBay, for example. The other nice thing about photo sale is they also have not only camera gear, but they have darkroom equipment actually in stock there. Pretty good selection of that, as well as a lot of chemistry. They certainly have what you need to get started. All right, so then moving on to number 2, Wonder Photo. Wonder Photo is a small shop that has a pretty decent selection of point and shoot cameras. So these aren't your high-end, point and shoots. It's not going to be your Contax, T2, T3. But if you're someone that's just starting to get into analog photography or someone who's thinking about playing around with it, I think it's a great option because they have reasonably priced gear there and pretty diverse selection. So you'll find something that probably interests you. They also had a pretty decent selection of instant film there. They also have a friendly staff and they had a limited amount of medium format camera gear there. Surprisingly, they had like 3 or 4 RB67s or RZ67s, some of each. And it does have a nice friendly staff and just a good kind of neighborhood film shop feel to it. All right, so moving on to number 3, Lighthouse Film Lab. So Lighthouse Film Lab is right in the heart of Moscow. Definitely a place worth checking out if you're traveling to Moscow. They have very reasonably priced film development and scanning and a pretty quick turnaround time as well. And they also have a small but nice selection of film that you can purchase there. That's pretty reasonably priced for Moscow. A couple of things that I really liked about Lighthouse Film Lab. 1, they sell Kodak Aero Color 120, 125. And 2, just the prices for scan and develop. It's less than $7 for a roll, black and white or color. And then 3, it's just how fast they turn it around. It was next day I got my scans back. So a pro tip related to film development, really this probably applies more broadly as well, but you can do Yandex Courier here. And so that was really nice. Get the film developed and we didn't have to go back to the film lab. We just sent the courier there, and for them to take the film from the lab to the hotel, it was like less than $2. So if you're in Moscow and you get film developed, definitely would recommend using Yandex to help courier your film back to wherever you're staying. All right, so number 4. So number 4 on my list is the Moscow House of Photography. So this is a pretty decent sized museum. It has 5 or 6 floors of different exhibitions, and they have paintings as well as other mediums in addition to photography. But when we went, they had probably about 4 or 5 different exhibitions that were photography related, everything from commercial photography to fine art to street photography to documentary to kind of journalistic long-term project. So worth checking out and spending a couple of hours there going through the different exhibitions. It was less than $7 for an admission ticket, and you could easily burn 2 to 3 hours in there. All right, so I've talked through my top 4. So what are the things that I wish would have been different? First, more photo book stores. So Russia has a lot of talented photographers, and I'd really like to see places that sold books or zines that catered to them to help support those local artists, but also get a chance to discover some of them that you wouldn't really necessarily run into online or elsewhere. Now, Moscow does have photo book fairs that come through a couple of times a year, so I really wish there were just other venues. Maybe they're out there and I just didn't find them. If so, and you know about it, drop a comment below. But that's something that I wish was different. So the only place that we did find that sold photo books was Soyuz Pechat Moscow. I know I butchered the pronunciation, but I'll put a link to their Instagram somewhere in here. So it is a shop/gallery that also does printing. So they do Rizzo printing. They had a small but pretty nice selection of very reasonably priced photo books and zines. So, I picked up 3 or 4 books there, books/zines there. And so it's worth checking out if you're there. So the second thing that I wish was a bit different is just the price of film here in Moscow. It's about $12 for a roll of Tri-X. You're gonna spend about $9 for a roll of HP5 here. If you want to manage that film cost, you can shoot Silbera, Foma, or Kentmere, and those are gonna get you down to about $5 or $6 for a roll of film. So it's quite a bit cheaper, and it gets to be competitive with what I would spend for a roll of Tri-X or HP5 back in the US. But if you're coming from the US or somewhere else that has cheaper film, I definitely suggest that you bring some with you. All right, so that's really all I have, and that's really my recap for film, photography related things in Moscow. What did I forget? What did I miss? What are your favorite film things related to Moscow? So drop a comment below and let me know what are those film things that I should check out next time I'm in Moscow, or anyone else. But yeah, that's all I got for today. So talk to you guys later, and yeah, peace.